Good morning, everybody, to the first episode of the Fanzone, John, the Villa Fanzone. I'm really excited about this. You?
I am, yeah. We've changed the format a little bit, haven't we? You mentioned it on the post-match last night. So I guess you want to explain what this is and what we'll be doing moving forward.
Yeah, so for those that are watching, you'll see there's a little banner on the bottom of the screen that says, have your say by sharing your opinions in the mailbag, which the link is in the description of every single episode we do, or in the live chat. Obviously, for those listening after the fact, you can't get involved in the live chat. But if you want to be involved with the Fan Zone week by week, we're going to do this to replace our preview show where you can set the agenda for the show. You know, we would normally come into this going, right, John, what did Emery say at the presser? Injury news, does Dharma Traore bother us? You know, kind of like generic talking points.
Yeah.
But we want this show to be informed by what fans think and their opinions. So I put a tweet out this morning and we mentioned it on the Bologna post-match last night. And we've had loads of people get in touch. I've put together 15 or 20 maybe here, and some of them I'll just rattle out and read them and say, oh, that's interesting, and then on to the next one and keep going. Others will spark bigger talking points. But yeah, just changing it up a little bit, different background, different music, just a fresh vibe, John. It just feels nice, doesn't it?
No, yeah, absolutely.
Still us talking about the Villa, but different.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about Villa, but the main point of this is just to get everyone else's kind of perception of the game, because quite often, well, at least in my little bubble, I'll come back from a press conference and I have my kind of thought on the match, and having spoken to Emery, it's a bit clouded on different things. And then I don't actually know how fans are feeling about the match, like apart from myself and maybe some mates, my dad and my brothers, and obviously you. So it's nicer to get like a broader kind of perspective of how people are feeling. And it's, a show that we want to do now consistently for, ahead of every Premier League game, right? So now I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, let's dive straight in then. I've got a document that I've sent to you as well. There's, as I say, I don't know, 15, 20 comments in there, and they've all got a little headline as well. I've pulled out a little title for each one. So do you want to pick one of the titles? I'll read it out, and then we'll have a chat.
I'm going to just go straight in with Tricky Crowd.
Tricky Crowd, okay. Tricky Crowd. What did you make of Ezri Konsa's post-match comments regarding the crowd after the Bologna match? That was from Josh. Konsa's comments, for those that missed it. The crowd can be tricky here. Hence Tricky Crowd, John, as the title. When things aren't going well, it's important the fans stay with us, but you can see at times they get a bit frustrated, especially with some of our players, but we have to be able to deal with that. What do you think of those comments? Because it feels a little bit, I saw some people suggest that Martin Keown kind of led him down that path and Konsa kind of fell for the trap, that it's a difficult place to play sometimes, but kind of true, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a demanding crowd. We've seen some real highs under Unai Emery, and we played in the Champions League last season. So when things aren't going well, it's gonna feel different. And this season hasn't just been a difficult start; it's been a terrible start. It's been one of the worst starts we've made to a Premier League or even top flight season, right? So it's not going to be bouncing when you're playing Bologna, who we played 12 months or 11 months ago, and that was in the Champions League. This is different. Very few Bologna fans really turned out for the match, so it kind of says everything about it, really. That they kind of came last year, didn't really bother to turn up this time. We had the attendance yesterday. I don't know if you know, it's 35,500 or so. I don't know when we would have gone that low in terms of an attendance, and there's different reasons for that. Mainly the cost. The cost was too much. 60 quid or so for a ticket is too much for a Bologna match, for a young boys match for Salzburg, and the other match that we're going to be playing at Maccabi Tel Aviv, which may or may not be going ahead anyway. But to go back to Konsa's comments, I agree with him. I think it can be a tricky crowd, but also, as John McGinn said, and I'm not totally sure if Konsa said this, but he'll agree, I'm sure. But John McGinn said it, that, we've been crap so far this season. So what are you going to expect? McGinn also said that when they were warming up, it didn't really feel like a European night. But again, it's understandable because it's now, and you mentioned this on the post-match last night, Dan, that it's up to the players now to show us something and to get the Villa fans kind of off their seats. And for 10 minutes, it wasn't just a 10-minute spell, but there really was that spell after we scored. I think we really could have taken the game away from Bologna. We didn't manage to do it, but that felt more like a Villa. That felt like what we have come accustomed to seeing, pinning teams back. They're on the ropes, we can smell blood. And then that stopped a little bit and it, became an even match again. But no, Konsa, probably right, I think, in his assessment. And I think that's probably born more out of the Morgan Rogers sarcastic cheers more than anything else.
Yeah, and we will get to that in a separate point later. A couple of comments. Morning all from Matthew James Wood. Global Pilot says, morning, gents. Great to catch a live stream. I think Global Pilot is the guy who goes, is it Devon or Cornwall every single game? I've often seen messages that he listens to the post match when he gets like halfway down the country, like the post match kicks in, and it's like, oh, that gets me through the next hour of the journey or whatever. I'm sure it's the same person. Comment from Matthew before we go back to the mailbag. Why does every team we play seem to be fitter, faster, and stronger than us? Is that partly a confidence thing as well? Because you don't feel right. You kind of attributes don't come across.
Maybe, but I agree more with the comment of I think it is a problem for us. But then you would also add to that I think in the whole overall makeup of the squad, I think we're okay to kind of combat that. Mm-hmm. But when you're not missing Tielemans, a player who can control the game and isn't going to run around the pitch as well as someone like Onana, who we don't have as well, but in a different way, it kind of mitigates against playing against teams who want to go man to man sometimes. Again, Miggins said after the match, it actually reminded him of Marcelo Bielsa's Leeds, the way that Bologna played, which I thought was really interesting. Yeah, and that's praise, I suppose, for them too. But a completely different test for Villa yesterday, which they overcame in the end. But I would say that I think Bologna's quality in the final third was terrible, to be honest. Some of the shots that they were taking were going 20 meters outside the crossbar and well into the whole end, and not a lot of quality. They obviously hit the bar. I think on the balance of play, maybe they deserved a point, to be fair. But that would be because they looked fitter and stronger than us. If we don't have Boubacar Kamara or a player of his quality in that role that he played yesterday, again, even then we were lucky probably to win the game, and he was immense, Kamara. So it's a worry of mine, but at the same time, this is what we have now. We can't change it, really. The only thing we can have is players come back like Tielemans and Kamara. But I do look at the rest of the team, and it doesn't scream athletic and devastating on the counter-attack, all of those sorts of things.
Yeah, okay. Pick me another comment from the mailbag then, John. I'm happy for you to kind of lead the way here.
Yes, of course. So let's go straight into the new Diaby. What's that about?
The new Diaby. Oh, you've scrolled down much further than I have. The new Diaby. This is from Jay. Gesson looks to me like he could be better suited to the role behind the striker, playing in the Diaby role. What are your thoughts? Not quite the new Diaby, but it's actually difficult to think of a title for each one. There's a couple about Gesson, to be fair. So kind of leave what you thought of his performance for one side for now. But for his role, could he play that support act, do you think?
Yes, I do. And I think that probably is his best position, to be perfectly honest. I'm not going to say he looks lost on the right because that's unfair. But I think it looks a bit awkward sometimes. I'm trying to kind of... if Gesson is the answer, what's the question? It's that sort of vibe. Maybe that's a bit harsh, but I'm not totally seeing what Unai is. That's because I don't watch training every day and I'm not working with him. I didn't, sign the player. Don't get me wrong, like his numbers last season were fantastic for Nice, and the position he played there was, a versatile one, but also he did use the width of the posts quite often too, in terms of where he'd where his position would be, and he'd run the channel sometimes as well. But where he's playing now, I think he's been asked to do something different, and he doesn't look quite comfortable. But at the same time, it's still early days, so I'm not going to, kind of judge that he can't do it. But he's versatile enough that if we're not seeing something perfect right now, I'm sure he'll find his feet, and Unai will find the right position for him eventually.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to couple this then with promising unpredictability. I think I might be on my own here, especially after seeing John's rating of a 5 for last night. However, is it really only me that thinks Evan Gesson has really started to show some promise? I've seen a lot of hate on social media, but I see a young guy really trying to push forward, and I like the unpredictability he shows. That's from Reese. I'm a little bit in the middle. I can see why you gave him a 5 out of 10, but I can also see arguments to suggest, well, maybe that should have been a 6 or a 6.5, which the difference between those is basically nothing.
Yeah, welcome to play ratings.
There's little sparks and little moments of there's something in there. There's definitely a desire, I think, to want to go forward and want to work hard. I thought overall, if I said, did he play well or poorly, I'd be more leaning towards he played well, but not like he was a superstar 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's still very early days.
I just think for me, one of the main issues, essentially the main issue for me, what we have at the moment, is that when we go into the final third, it breaks down a little bit. A big part of that is that Morgan Rodgers is not playing anywhere near the required level. Buendia, I don't think is good enough to be counted on. I said before that if he's staying in the squad and if he plays in the Europa League, he'll have a part to play. And he did yesterday. The set piece routine came from Buendia. I know he's only passed the ball twice to kind of be involved. But there was moments where he's kind of buzzing around Buendia. And Gesson, there's a lot of desire there. But for me, I just need a bit more. I need a bit more quality. I need to see something else. And it's not to suggest that, he's not going to be good enough for Villa. As I just said in the previous answer, I think he will be. It's just about finding the right balance for him and him finding his feet as well. Like the chance where, was it Rodgers? He flicked it in behind and then Gesson runs down the right wing and manages to get a shot off.
Yeah.
That for me needs to be more clinical. That needs to be 6 good touches because he's got space to run into, which he did, but it felt like a bit of slow motion, to be honest.
And he should have scored the other day, didn't he, against Sunderland?
Yeah, and he scuffed his shot. It's all a bit kind of like, nearly, but really, we know that in a few months' time, that has to be a goal. That has to be you race into the into the box and you slam it across goal, like we saw Daniel Marlon do, last season. That's what you need from Gesson. So some promising signs, but you still need more. And if I'm judging him off yesterday's game, if that's any other player, I'd be doing the same thing because he probably should have scored yesterday. And when he did receive the ball, I wasn't totally convinced that he knew exactly what his next move was. Again, a player that I'm still excited to see how he develops at Villa for sure.
Yeah, a couple of live chat comments. Bridger says, up the Villa from Florida, flying back to Iowa this morning. I'll listen when I get home. And Brent says, great time for this in Australia. I also wanted to put an accent on that by default, Australia. Friday night, 8 o'clock. So, nice. Enjoy your weekend when it starts before ours. A couple of guess-on ones from Michael. I like Gesson, and at least he stays fit. Yeah, so far, early days, I guess. Yeah. I thought Gesson progressed us over the pitch well and is the kind of player who gets you out of your seat. And Nevsky, I thought Gesson played well last night. Chris, you can see Gesson is trying, chases back when he loses the ball and keeps going. Yeah, I think there's elements there of things to be positive about, but also still early days to either go, he's going to be brilliant or he's going to be terrible.
Yeah, exactly. But I am seeing more of, I like some of what I'm seeing. You just need to, it just needs refinement. That's what it is.
Yeah, okay. Pick me another mailbag then, John.
Sure, I need to stop closing this tab.
It's good fun.
I see twisting my melon, man. Twisting my Marlon, man.
Twisting my Marlon, man. Yeah, nice. I've seen a few fantasy teams with that name. I don't know if this is just me, but people around me where I sit were saying Marlon had a good game. I thought he was okay, but if Ollie had that performance, it would be called terrible. Is this a case of people just thinking that the new guy that rarely plays is much better when that isn't actually the case? That was from Nat.
A
few poor touches.
I thought it was one of Marlon's better games, but I think that probably says, more than I need to explain. He was all right. Marlon isn't going to get you 15 goals though in the Premier League as a striker. No. He's not as good as Ollie Watkins. And we said before that I'd be okay to see him as the understudy until January if needs be. And I stand by that just because Ollie Watkins' fitness record is strong and he will get goals, Watkins. I don't doubt it. I think he will. For the costs that we had to spend on other players and other positions and for the players that were available, I was okay with seeing Marlon being as the backup. And maybe in January, questions will be asked about his future because really we're not seeing what we want. And maybe that is, it's definitely also, that is mostly our fault because his confidence has probably been shot. We're not playing him in the position that he wants to be playing. It's difficult really for him to get going, and his Villa career has stalled early on. And I give him a lot of kind of leeway with it really. Because if we're going to see a player who's not confident and is struggling for form and all those different things, it's going to be Marlon. And I think we all know why. So, I think he played okay yesterday. But my expectations of him are quite low. And that's not his fault, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So coming in the live chat, should have kept Duran and sold Wally Flopkins, which is quite a good slander name, to be honest, although I think it's completely unfair. And I still can't quite believe that we're having these
Frank
conversations.
Lampard meme there. I don't know if you realised that.
What?
You did the Frank Lampard meme there.
Did I?
Laughing along, and then actually, no. That's terrible.
Yeah, true. I can't believe we're still having conversations about Duran in September 2025. A player that we sold for 70 odd million, and who I believe isn't worth half of that now, is playing for who? Is Fenerbahce now? Is it
Fenerbahce, yeah.
really? Is he the answer? Are we not over that yet? That Duran was the superstar that could have been, that probably won't be. Come on.
Yeah. Ideally, you'd have him and Watkins still, but finances, the rules.
He wanted to leave. He wanted to chase the bag. If you want to get down with the kids.
Yeah, don't we all?
Yeah. Okay. Mailbag me, John.
Sorry, keep closing the tab. I will
Leave
get
the
better.
tab.
Yeah. All right, we'll go to the. Oh, we've done those ones. We're gonna 150 million pound war chest.
Okay, 150 pound.
Yeah.
Is that for us? That'd be nice. 150 million pound war chest. This is from Ed. Not feeling great about Fulham, which we will talk about, I'm sure. Can see Troy Ore getting a winner for them. Thinking ahead, do you think we're in a situation that if we could get around 150 million for Watkins, Rodgers, and Emi Martinez, we should take that and reinvest in the squad?
When in the summer, I suppose.
In the summer, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if all three of them left. I don't know what.
Yeah.
We don't know what for, but we've said, we need a rebuild. We need to start over again. But then what I would also add to that is that we're talking about it with Watkins not scoring, Rodgers not scoring, both of those players out of confidence. And what happens then if Watkins hits 15 goals again this season and Rodgers, gets back into form and is one of the best players that we have, or is the best player that we have? What about those things? What if it kind of replicates last season and this is just a blip? Then our mood would change on it, I do think. But at the same time, we know we have to sell players, right, to reinvest. So with that knowledge, it could be almost any player can leave for the right price. There'll be a couple of players or a few players that Emery won't want to sell in the summer, but it's far too early to kind of talk about that. January is still quite far away, but I've got a feeling that in that winter window, we're going to have to do business and we will probably see players come and go, even though, we are restricted. But for that reason, that's why we're going to have to have a turnover, of players. And those three, next summer, if you ask me right now, will they be here? Probably not. But again, we'll see. It all depends about what clubs offer for those players. We can't just sell players to make money. They need to be sold at the right price, of course.
What did you think of Watkins stepping up for the penalty last night? Who I thought played well despite missing the penalty.
Yeah.
It goes two ways, doesn't it? If he scores, everyone goes, "Oh, well done for stepping up and scoring one," because you don't have a great record. When he steps up and misses, you think, "Well, misses. It was saved." Not again. He's got a poor record. I think he's missed 4 of the last 8 or something like that. How do you assess that? I think it's good that he stepped up to take it, but obviously bad that he's missed it.
Yeah, he's not a good penalty taker. It's a
really
problem.
Bad penalty.
It's a problem for us because he's missed more in his career than he's scored, I think. The only reason why Watkins takes penalties is because he's a striker, and it's not a good situation for us. We don't have a penalty kick taker. I think Tielemans is probably the closest thing we have to it, and even he missed one against Palace last season in a 2-2 draw. Daniel Marlon was supposed to take the penalty, but of course he wasn't on the pitch, so he would have been first choice, I believe, and then Watkins, because elsewhere in the team, we don't seem to have one. Rodgers maybe would take one, but the kind of confidence he's in at the moment, maybe that wouldn't be ideal. He scored one for the under 20, was it the under 21s, I think, for England a few months ago. But yeah, it's a major issue. Rashford scored 2 for us last season, didn't he? And that is a penalty kick taker. We just don't have one. And
Sancho's got a good record, says Christopher. He's taken 11 in his career and scored 10.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. Maybe that's your way forward. But yeah, it would have been Marlon, I believe, that would have taken the penalty.
Comment in the live chat. Watkins played well. Laughing face, laughing face, laughing face. Were you watching a game under Dean Smith? I thought he did some of the things that we expect from Watkins, kind of been a focal point in the usual bits. He just obviously didn't score.
Yeah, he won a penalty and nearly went through on goal late on. Yeah, I honestly don't really have any worries about Watkins.
I think people are taking more comments about us being better out of context, that like better as in we're returning to what we were and what we should be. I mean, better as in we weren't awful like the previous games. It's a slight improvement each week at the moment.
Yeah, and it's always going to be like that. I keep saying when Emery mentioned, if Watkins had scored against Sunderland, maybe that's the click. That I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be incremental. We've been so poor that we're not just going to turn it on at some point. I don't think. I hope we do against Fulham, but I don't think that'll be the case. We need to churn out these wins and build some confidence and some sort of momentum now.
Yeah.
And you might not see us play very well until the October time, but
that's next week, so I'll take that.
yeah, after the break, I mean. But then after that, you've got Tottenham, Liverpool, Man City. Is it 3 in a row?
Something like that.
Yeah. We need to beat Fulham and Burnley. So
yeah. Okay. Let's do uncomfortable conversation next. Going back 10 seasons, 15 of the 30 teams that occupied the relegation places after game week 7 were relegated. This is not a "we are in a relegation battle" statement, but should we not get positive results against Fulham and Burnley, we may very well find ourselves in an uncomfortable conversation.
We've had those in the last Q&A, Ian.
Yeah, we've done this, Ian. We spoke about these.
We're speaking about it already. No,
I don't think we are in those conversations to go down. But let's say you lost to Fulham and Burnley, that would be a terrible look. Like, these games are crucially important. Yeah. Start with Fulham. We said, we're not doing a match preview as such because we don't. But if you want to kind of summarise, John, that Fulham game at the weekend and the importance of it, do you want to kind of have the floor for a couple of minutes on Fulham specifically?
I haven't really thought about it, but yeah. No, it's massively important mainly just because I mentioned there, we have 3 incredibly difficult games coming up after the break, and there's a good chance that we don't win any of those 3, right? Let's have it correct because of how poor we've been. Even if we were playing to our best level, there's no suggestion that we would go to Tottenham and play Liverpool and City and win those as well. So that could easily be a run of 3 matches where you don't win a football match. So Burnley is a must-win in every sense of the word. It really is. Yeah. And then Fulham as well is a match that... Fulham is a strange one because whenever we play Fulham at Villa Park, they never turn up. Genuinely, I've said this before, but even as a Villa fan, sometimes I know what you're
about to say. You're not urging Fulham on, but you're kind of going, "Come on, lads, give it a go."
I'm looking at them and thinking, like, "What are you doing? Like, you've come here, like you get good results. You're a good team under Marco Silva, but you're terrible at Villa Park. So hopefully that continues, and then we can nick a win. To be honest, because again, there's no guarantee that if Fulham don't play well, that we will. But it's a really important game, mainly for that reason. We haven't won in the league this season, and we've played, with respect to these teams, Everton, Sunderland and Brentford. Palace are a good side, Newcastle are a good side, but we finished above all of them but Newcastle last season. And, well, goal difference was the difference between us and Newcastle last season. So all of those teams at the start of the season, you think, okay, we've got to try and finish above all of those, Fulham and Burnley as well. But it's not how football works. We need to now, I said this before, the Bologna match.
The comments just suggesting you've jinxed it, that we're now going to lose to Fulham.
Yeah, no, possibly so. Yeah, sorry. Before the Bologna game, it was okay. So what happens is just focus on the Bologna first half. Just get through that first half, and we did.
We're pretty good in that first half, weren't we?
Yeah. So that's my message again to no one's listening. That's important here. That is at Villa. Maybe they are. First half against Fulham. Just focus on that. Get through your first half. And it's honestly, I just think it's just so incremental at the moment. With just little building blocks here and there. It's been such a poor start that we have to now try and build some sort of momentum. And then after the break, you've got those 3 matches where really, I think we just need to give good accounts of ourselves. I don't think anyone's expecting us to go to Spurs and nick a result. Liverpool and Man City as well. We're capable on our day, but that day was a long time ago. So...
Comment from David in the chat. Hi, Dan. Appreciate we've had a less than ideal start to the season, but have you stopped doing the man of the match vote? I'd still like to know who the Claret and Blue player of the season is. We've stopped it, but not by like a choice or anything. We did it for Newcastle, and because every game since has been so bad, performance-wise at least, it felt really weird to pick 3 man of the match options. So yeah, we just haven't done it for a game this season, and I forgot to do it last night, to be fair. We probably could pick 3. Thought Kamara was good. Thought Torres was good. And Bizot maybe as the 3 standouts from last night.
I would. Yeah, the first 2 I totally agree with. I would have maybe squeezed McGinnon because he scored the goal.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
Bizot as well. Prevented goal.
So, yeah. I thought he played well, Bizot.
Yeah.
So I probably will pick 3 from there and then try and continue it from now. But it just feels very out of place to pick a man of the match when we've played so terribly, but when Villa pick up, we'll bring that back. Come on then, John. Mailbag me. There is a big Rodgers section where there's about 6 comments. I'm going to read all in one go. If you can refrain from that just for now, because I don't want to read that many.
Bad message.
Bad message.
Bad message.
Emery has been slow to give players a deserved opportunity. We cannot afford to keep starting players out of form, like Rodgers or Buendia, says Sean, over players who have shown enough to start, Elliott and Sancho. Does it send a bad message that players who don't play well continue to keep their place in the team?
Yeah, I think it does. To be perfectly honest with you, I think
Yeah,
when you're looking at Rodgers struggling to complete passes, that's not me even being hysterical. He struggled to complete passes yesterday, 42% pass success rate, and Emery chooses.
It's got to be one of his lowest since he joined, hasn't it?
I'd like to think so. Buendia and Marlon obviously come off, but I think we could all see that Rodgers doesn't. We'll go into it in a minute, but he doesn't need to be on the pitch right now. He really doesn't. This isn't helping him. And for Buendia and Marlon, especially Marlon, I think, he wasn't having a bad game. He wasn't having a great game, but this is his chance to stay
having a game.
He's having a game. But this is what he needs. He needs minutes to build confidence, to build something, to essentially form a relationship with teammates that he hasn't had the chance to, really, in matches. And he gets taken off for Watkins. And I can understand that because Watkins, come on for the last parts of the game. I would have started Watkins anyway. Because, again, when you play Fulham, what do you want? Do you want him to maybe have scored a goal or not? And I think maybe starting him would have been correct. Anyway, Buendia coming off, though, I felt, didn't think it was harsh. But if you're Buendia, you're thinking, but Morgan Rodgers is not having a good game. And why can't I stay on? Because for that reason, I do think it sends the wrong message. But at the same time, Buendia, I'm sure will probably be aware that, Villa tried to sell him. It's not as if this is anything new to Buendia, that he's not going to be one of the first names on the team sheet. For Harvey Elliott, again, it's a situation where we want to see him play. I don't want to say a difficult start to his career at all, but it's been a bit of a weird one in terms of he plays, I think, quite well against Sunderland and is kind of, criticised by Emery. It was not taken out of context, really, but in black and white, it looked bad. Oh, Harvey Elliott did this wrong. And then obviously doesn't get on the pitch yesterday, but he's a new player. And
can I give you a Harvey Elliott conspiracy theory?
I have to say yes, so go on.
You do, yeah. Good point. This is from Jay Collette. What does John think about the conspiracy theory that if Elliott plays 10 games before January, that triggers the signing on fee, which is why Unai is limiting his matches?
Yeah.
Ooh, I've seen this before about signing on fees and stuff.
No, I can't see that being a thing.
I think it's
if later in the season it's a problem.
Yeah, I think it's more a Harvey Elliott doesn't know our way yet.
How many games has he played? He's played 2 games, right? Made 2 appearances, Brentford and Sunderland.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're
still
nearly there anyway.
Still early days. Got to get him to slow his passing down before he's given a start. I think he'll start against Fulham, to be honest.
Okay. I'm not sure. But...
Fair enough. Thanks for that, John. Good preview. Should we do the Rodgers section? Do you want to do that yet, or do you want to keep going with some more positive things?
I think we're starting to go into it, so let's do Rodgers now.
Okay, there's about 5 comments, so I'm just going to read them all in one go, which I know is mad. I'm going to talk a lot here, and then we'll pick up what we want, okay?
Yeah.
So this is the Rodgers section. Bit of a long one, says Jamie. Buckle in, everybody. I would normally agree with playing a player into form, but is there ever a time in which a player just needs taken out of the team to completely reset focus? Morgan Rodgers has been completely ineffective in all games this season, but unlike others, I do actually think you can see he is trying rather than having one foot out of the door or his head being turned. Against Bologna, he saw a fair bit of the ball, but every pass was undercooked and every touch was bouncing off him or taking him into traffic, putting him under pressure. Does he just need a bit of freedom coming in off the bench to try and impact the game, finding form that way, rather than playing as a passenger for most of a full 90? What do you think about Unai's persistence with playing Rodgers? There's a theme here. They're all basically the same. Do you think it's doing him more harm than good, especially with the sarcastic jeering when he completed a pass towards the end of the match? That was from Kareem El Amadu. the person in the mailbag put, which I thought was quite funny. Jaden, also concerned about Rodgers. Too much too soon? ? Championship player turned Premier League breakout player, Sky Sports poster boy, brackets adverts, England international. They are all still human, and he is young. I would hate to see a Dele Alli situation arise.
Yeah.
Sarah, do you think so far Unai has given Rodgers a different criteria this season? It looks like he's not being asked to distribute the ball early and to not go on his threatening, creative, driving runs. Will he gain his confidence back when Yuri returns and gets back to commanding the midfield? And finally, Tom, if Unai is the tactical genius we laud him as, then why does he keep persisting with Rodgers? He's been awful for a long time, and it's like playing with 10 men. Got through that, actually. I thought that was going to be more difficult than it was. Lots to kind of unpack there. Let's start with the sarcastic jeer. What did you make of that last night?
I didn't like it. I don't think anyone liked it, even the fans who did it. And, you know, free speech is the wrong thing here, but you're paying the money to go to that game. Firstly, fair enough. And secondly, you are entitled to do what you like. But I kind of felt like it was a situation where everyone's kind of joking with I don't know, like with their mate or family member next to them, like, "Hey, he's passed it," and everyone's done it at the same time, and they've all probably thought, "Hey, you know, like, oh, that's not
that's
great."
A big get out you're giving people there.
It came, but I feel like that's how most people probably, you know, I don't think anyone's trying to get on Rodgers' back, really. You know, it doesn't help the player, does it? It doesn't help the team. It doesn't help other fans, to be perfectly honest, because now everyone's sitting there thinking, "Oh, that wasn't very nice." Like that's not ideal. It's just not helpful. Again, people are able to, you know, express how they feel and think. When Rodgers doesn't complete a pass, it's met with groans and sighs of, "Oh, bang my elbow." It's, you know, again, you know. So for that reason, when he makes a successful pass, then it's an ironic, "Hey, you know, finally." But it's not great when you're out of confidence that much. And he's clearly struggling, Rodgers. But a lot has been said about his confidence. I'm not totally sure he is out of confidence, to be honest, because he is showing for the ball. He is demanding possession. When he picks it up, he does go forward. He's not looking for the safe pass just to go backwards. You know,
hiding.
Morgan and Rodgers could quite easily take the ball, offload it straight away, and it'd be half the player than what he's been for Villa. Don't get me wrong; it'd probably be better for the team if he was to do that in the last few games. Yeah, but actually, you know, apart from giving the ball away, which isn't ideal, you're not getting Morgan Rodgers. If you said to Morgan Rodgers for the rest of the season, play safe, you know, don't express yourself, you may as well not play him. You know, let's be honest. So you need Morgan Rodgers to express himself, but for whatever reason, the quality just isn't there right now, and I can't quite work out why that is. It's probably a mix of things, but what we know it is that he is struggling and we need to support him. It's not a situation of, oh, he clearly wants to move, that's why he's giving the ball away. Like that doesn't add up. You know,
You're not going to get your move if you do that.
Yeah, exactly that. He needs to play well to get a move or to play for England or all these different things. But I'm not seeing a player who's thinking, you know, kind of, I know sometimes off the ball, there may be videos of him kind of like moping around a little bit. But Emery kind of disagrees with that. He says that he's really important for the team and he always works very hard and off the ball too. He said that the reason why he kept him on the pitch is because what did he say? I completely forgot. He said that he'll kind of grow from the experience of playing, you know, kind of in front of a frustrated crowd, and that he wanted to give him the 90 minutes, to essentially allow him to experience that almost, and that can work one of two ways, and hopefully it works in the right way, but I think it's a risky game from Emery. I think it, you know, shows he's got a lot of confidence in Rodgers that he can react and respond positively to it. But, you know, anyone who's played football at any level, if you kind of put yourself in that position of you're not playing very well, and what if, I don't know, even in like Sunday League, your teammates start cheering like sarcastically, like, "Oh, finally," like, Jesus, you know, that's just not going to feel nice. And yeah, it's something of a crisis for Rodgers, really. But we've seen enough that he can produce for Villa and consistently too. So we need him to get back to that level. But the key thing for me is that the guy needs supporting. It doesn't need the ironic cheers. And I think we can all agree with that. No one wants to hear that again. So hopefully it doesn't happen. But at the same time, I think that is the point in which it's like, okay, well, how do I put it? I don't think it could get much like worse for Rodgers from here, if that makes sense. Being ironically cheered by your own crowd. I wouldn't have played him yesterday. I think most people will probably agree with that. He needs to be taken out of the firing line. But then for Fulham,
He'll play
Emery,
Fulham, won't he, again?
presumably Emery will play him. Kind of waiting for him to come up with that moment. So,
how long can that go on though?
It's up to Emery. It really is. It's difficult. I'll probably get back to this. I'm in that camp with Emery of, we know that what he can produce can be so special that, is it worth taking him out, and who do you play in front of him? Is it Elliott, and then you play Sancho on the left, and then who on the right? Gesson, and then you bring Rodgers off the bench. Like, I'm not against that at all, but I understand why Emery's starting him. But at the same time, if he was dropped, I wouldn't be saying, "Oh, why has he done that for?" Rodgers can create this moment. We know why he'd be dropped, and I don't think anyone would kind of suggest, "Oh, we shouldn't have done that." But at the same time, if he does play him, we know why.
Do you think the ironic jeers are a bit of a kick up the arse, for want of a better word, for Rodgers? That he's going to know that the fans are frustrated. Yeah. Obviously, he's a young lad. He'll no doubt be on social media. He will know he's not played well this season. He will see comments that he gets back to his Instagram story or whatever. You know, he's bound to be aware. If he's unaware, that would blow my mind. He's a very intelligent guy. He's going to know he's not played well. But physically getting it in the stadium, that cheer. Because if he'd have been, I said this last night, I think he should have been subbed off. And Matt said to me after we finished, that would have come with a bigger, oh, finally he's off the pitch. Like, well, you know, kind of cheering that. That's probably worse, right? So I kind of get maybe why he stays on to avoid that. Well, but is that the kind of feeling of, oh, this isn't just a couple of social media. I'm getting this in the stadium now. Like, I am going to have to book my ideas. But I don't know if it is a thing that you can just change like that. Something just not right, is there?
Where is it kind of book his ideas up?
What does that look like?
I think it's a situation where he just needs supporting. Again, we've seen Villa players before hired and they're not looking for the ball. They are shirking responsibility. I'm not seeing that from Rodgers, to be honest. I'm seeing him trying to get the ball and he's trying to make that pass. I keep banging my elbow. I just think it's a situation where it will come. And for whatever reason, it's been a very slow start for him and he's been bizarrely poor. Like, really, I can't understand it, because if we're talking about passing the football, it's not it's not a situation where he's having some decent chances around the edge of the box and he keeps missing the target. You know, it's not something like that. It's, you know, basics really. But again, I like that he's taking responsibility still. And McGinn and Conce said something similar afterwards of, you know, what the best thing about Morgan is that he keeps trying, and some fans will say it's probably the worst thing at the moment that he keeps trying to you know, make a pass that is I don't know, potentially risky, I don't know. But for us, again, if you're going to get the best out of Morgan Rodgers, he needs to express himself, sorry. So yeah, we'll see what Emery does for Fulham, but we need him to get back into form quickly, because I do think that is a large kind of part of our issues this season. Defensively, we haven't been brilliant, but it's not been a major problem. We're not conceding to a game, are we? The midfield, Tielemans and Onana will come back. That will improve that. But McGinn and Kamara have been pretty solid, I think. Sancho's shown promising signs. Elliott too. Gesson will get there, I think. Watkins, the goals will arrive for Watkins when more service comes as well. But for Rodgers, it feels like he is so important to this team that when he's not playing well, that's a major problem. So if he can get back into form, I think that will go a long way for us.
Yeah. Okay. Give us another mailbag, please.
Sure.
Mailbag.
8s and 10s.
8s and 10s. Okay. The way we're currently playing, I can't see anything other than a 0-0 this weekend, says Ron. I think with the squad we have, they'd fit perfectly into a 4-3-3 with 2 10s and 2 8s, as any of Tielemans, McGinn and Onana can perform in both an attacking and defensive sense required from an 8, whilst any of Rodgers, Elliott, Sancho, Marlon, Gesson and Buendia can operate as a 10, who pushes wide, creating space for those 8s to move into and creating overloads in the box. Would also be great to see us get forward quicker and not allow teams to get back into shape. Is Emery going to change to a 4-3-3?
Well, I don't think this weekend. Oh, well, no, I don't think he will in general. But if we talk about this weekend, we don't know at this stage if Onana or Tielemans will be in the team or not.
No,
Emery will speak to section of the media about 2:00 or so. So there'll be an update. If there is an update, you'll find it on our pages. Garcia was back in the squad, which is nice.
Yeah.
Just as a point. And Martinez, Emery says hopefully he'll have a train today or on Saturday to hopefully play on Sunday. But in terms of the 4-3-3 thing, I think we have the right tools for it. But at the moment, we don't have Tielemans and Onana. And I've said before, I still think there's a lot that Onana can give us that we haven't seen yet. And I would like to see him with a bit more freedom. But does that mean kind of changing the team completely? I don't.
Do you think it was a bit of a change last night with kind of 4-2-2? I've seen people say rather than a 4-2-3-1. I know it's not as simple as that, but
yeah, to a point. I just, whenever we talk about this 4-3-3, 4-2-2, whatever, automatically I think about fullbacks, what the fullback's doing, and for me, Maatsen now has to have a run in the team.
Yeah,
it's nothing really against Luca Dean in terms of he's come off the boil or anything. I just think I think he's probably lost a yard of pace from a year or even two ago. Maatsen gives you some sort of explosiveness, a threat, a real, that opposition fullback knows that if he makes the wrong movement, Maatsen's in behind, or he can combine with another player. Luca Dean is much easier, I think, to keep a lid on, really. If you stop the supply to Luca Dean, the balls won't go in the box. That's quite, self-explanatory, whereas Maatsen, it's something a bit more to think about. And then on the right, I actually think Cash is having a decent season, to be honest.
Agreed,
a player who is often criticised and at points rightly so, but at the same time, when he does play well, rarely gets his flowers. So yeah, I think Cash has been quite comfortable so far this season. He just needs to have that consistency over the course of weeks and months, and yeah, hopefully that happens. But the fullbacks, I feel like they're so important for us because we are quite narrow, and even when we do play with width, we're not talking about natural wingers that are going to get to the byline or anything like that and really stretch a defence.
I'm going to do flat crowd next because we've kind of already touched on it anyway. I live a long way from Villa Park these days, so don't get to games very often, but went to Bologna on Thursday night. The last game I went to before that was Forest near the end of last season, and the difference in atmosphere was unbelievable. Not just the reaction to the first goal, but the amount of noise, the chants, the reaction to players being announced at the start of the match, everything. Last season, I was in the North Stand and didn't shut up all match. At Bologna, I stood in the lower Holt and actually caught strange looks from a few supporters for chanting. This is after taking the lead in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Feels like we offered the team 5 minutes of proper support immediately after the goal, and then the rest of the game, apart from a few sections of the upper Holt, we were useless. My question is this. Everybody keeps questioning why our performances are flat on the pitch. Should we be pointing our fingers at the crowd? Don't see how we can expect the players to have their heads 100% in the game when so much of what they're hearing from us is criticism and whinging. Now, this is dangerous territory for you and I to be also pointing fingers at fellow fans for not being good enough, etc. And that's not what I'm going to do. But do you think that mood or that vibe seeps into the pitch of we're not good enough and we all know it's bad and whatnot? Do the players get that?
Yeah, but there's a reason why.
Yeah.
Again, I'm with the fans on this one, to be honest. 60 quid a pop for a ticket against Bologna, 90 quid for a ticket last season in the Champions League, or there or thereabouts. Maybe it's 80 for some fans. That set a precedent. 80 something quid for a Champions League match. Okay, well, that's a problem because next year, if you don't get in the Champions League, what happens? So already it's pricing some fans out of going. It's a Thursday night. Villa haven't won a match this season. We've scored twice in 6 games before yesterday. I really don't know what people can expect, to be perfectly honest. I think actually it was as good as atmosphere as I could have expected. There was a nice tifo before the game. You had the fireworks.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I thought the tifo was crap.
Okay, but it was a tifo. Do you know what I mean? Like, what I'm trying to say is that we tried. How do I put it? If we were playing in the Champions League, what the club did would be no different. There was a big tifo. There was the fireworks. It was all there. There was the Europa League anthem. So Champions League, Europa League doesn't, same. And for that reason, I thought, okay, well, we're giving it some. It's just a shame that, it's always going to be a bit of a flatter atmosphere because, firstly, the competition isn't what it was last season. The team that we're playing isn't a very good team. If, truth be told, we played them last season. They didn't really bring much of an atmosphere themselves. Yeah, I think I don't really know what many people were expecting, to be perfectly honest, but I understand the question in terms of, well, aren't we kind of part of the problem, I guess? But for me, no. I think it has to come from the players at this stage. If we're second game of the season, I get it. Maybe we need to show a bit more, but it's up to the players to get us off our seats. And to be fair, again, for 10 minutes, the atmosphere was fantastic because we were banging on the door for that second goal. And again, it felt like, oh, this is what we were missing. And then again, how we played was then reflected in the stands. That's how I'd view it more. It's how we're Villa, and that is reflected in the stands rather than it has to be the other way, especially when you're not playing very well.
Obviously, you go to every away game as well.
Yeah.
Surely that happens at other stadiums, right? If the team we're playing isn't playing very well, the crowd's not good, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Villa especially when Villa won quite a few away games, a few last season, but then particularly the year before that. There's a number of stadiums where sometimes I wouldn't even have to, I've got work to do during the match. Sometimes towards the end of the game, I wouldn't be watching. It would be kind of based on, I would be watching, just wearing on the go. But, you can put your head down for 20 seconds and you know that it's completely dull. Nothing's going on. Therefore, Villa have the ball. And that was so often we'd be controlling the match and frustrations from the home fans, etc. Like Goodison, for example, completely different because they were fighting relegation for a few years, but genuinely just not a good atmosphere whatsoever. And there's reasons for that. So it's not just Villa Park that is quieter when things aren't going particularly well. It's almost every stadium around the country. I think the only place you'd probably, you're talking those kind of ultra groups in Belgrade, Legia. Oh, I was talking about...
I'm thinking Premier League only, like good home fans.
Yeah, and even then, I'm sure that was pretty dull when they didn't score for 7 games under, was it De Boer? So every fan every stadium will feel that it's not just Villa Park. If anything, Villa Park's probably better than a lot of them. In the bad times.
Okay. I can hear my son outside, so if he comes in a second, that'll be funny. There's 3 left, John, in the mailbags, the 3 at the bottom. So do you want to pick one? We probably need to wrap up in the next 10 minutes, so we'll speed up a bit here.
Sancho switch.
For a brief moment last night, Sancho and Rodgers switched positions and had some nice touches and passes off to forwards. He's also very comfortable in tight areas and around the 18-yard box. Do you think he could fill in the 10 while Rodgers can find his feet again out on the left, where he can simplify his game and get back to his best in a less crowded position? That's from Joe. Sancho in the 10, do you think, centrally?
I think maybe if it accommodates Rodgers better to allow him to play with a bit more freedom, possibly.
So Sancho left and Rodgers 10 is a 7 out of 10, whereas Sancho middle, Rodgers left could be an 8 out of 10, for example.
Well, I'm just talking about Rodgers. Would it help Rodgers not be marked by 2 players, basically? Like, are you attracting more interest if you drag Rodgers out wide? Does that then make more space in the hole for Sancho? I don't know. But Sancho rarely plays as a 10 in terms of, throughout a season. It's almost always on the left or right, usually on the left. So I'm happy just to see Maatsen and Sancho build a relationship, to be perfectly honest. And if that means that Rodgers isn't playing too well, but teams are doubling up, okay, but there's more space then, isn't there, for other players to play their football? So I think that's another kind of element to Rodgers that we haven't spoken about. He can be having not a brilliant game, but if he's been occupied, and I've said this so many times, it's now time for the other players to step up. We do concentrate a lot on Rodgers, and rightly so, because he hasn't played well at all. But that's when you need other players in your team to make that difference.
Okay, cool. We'll do wishful thinking next from Liam. I think Monchi leaving will have a positive effect on the team. I think he was the reason for all the behind-the-scenes rubbish and seemingly upset everyone regarding the Ramsey sale. I think with him gone, the influential players in the team will be a bit more positive. Wishful thinking, I know, but at this stage, even after last night, we need to scrape any positive vibes from anywhere. And we spoke a bit about this, didn't we, on the Monchi has gone emergency podcast that we did? Is that going to impact the... Oh, it's 11:30 at night, mate. That's not normal, is it?
Yeah.
Will that impact the team on the pitch? And we both kind of agreed, no, probably not. But again, every little kind of marginal detail maybe counts. That if there is a bad feeling and it's, that bad guy Monchi, he's the cause of this, and then he's gone, does that change things? Maybe. I don't know.
Well, it was odd because, I say it was odd. It was interesting because in the press conference that we had on Wednesday, so was that the night after, the day after the Monchi? I can't remember. I think it was.
So.
Anyway, Emery was just really, I happy and like open and smiling a lot, joking with the press, like all those different things which we've seen a little bit, during his time, but he just kind of seemed like a new man almost. And I'm not saying that's because of Monchi. I'm not, before that kind of gets out of context. But what's the big change? Well, it's kind of obvious. I don't know if it's new chap Roberto's come in, Alabe, and Emery is now kind of being I don't know, like reinvigorated because he's got someone else and it's like fresh ideas or something. I don't know. It's obviously someone he's worked with before and knows very well, worked closely with him. I'm not going to get too much into it now, but my kind of issue with what happens after Emery still exists. We've clearly just doubled down on Emery.
And I'm okay. Yeah? After he exists, he's just going to vanish to thin air.
But the point being, like, in the future, as we extend the podcast, what happens? You have to replace both, presumably, unless you bring someone else in who's, I don't know. Anyway, Emery looks very, I don't know, he had kind of like spring in his step sort of thing. So that was nice to see. I don't know if Monchi was the reason for any of those kind of ill feelings from players or whatever it may be. Ultimately, Emery wanted those loan players in at the end of last season. Emery played Rashford over Watkins, so I don't think the players necessarily looking at Monchi as like a bad guy or anything like that.
No.
Monchi's given a few of them some big deals, so I don't think they can have to, don't think there'll be any kind of hard feelings there, really.
Okay, the final part of the Villa Fanzone, this will probably be 30-odd minutes going forward. It's only because of the game last night that we've done 50. But the game, obviously, against Fulham is Sunday, so plenty of time for people to catch up. This is from Roger, mildly confident. We have a great record against Fulham, so I'm mildly confident on the back of Bologna that we can score and get a result against them. I'm desperate to see Elliott in for Rodgers, but that also makes me nervous that the longer the Rodgers situation goes on, the higher expectations seem to get that if he's left out, that becomes a problem in itself. Love the fresh idea for the show. Keep it up. Hopefully people have enjoyed, by the way, this different episode from us. I've certainly thought it's better than our usual preview. Are you mildly confident about Fulham? Forget the kind of Rodgers Elliott things. I would like to see Elliott come in, but we're not going to do an 11 now because, like you said, players will train today and tomorrow, and it's pointless us really guessing. We tend to have these good results against Fulham. They also tend to be a bit of a swing in the club's trajectory as well. Fulham games. I'm hoping that this is the start of a good thing, that we beat Fulham and then we go, oh, we're all right actually. We go and win the next 5 games.
Yeah, exactly. When you're saying mildly confident, they remind of what was Matt's. What did he say?
Satisfactory. He said last night.
Satisfactory evening. Made me laugh. I'm mildly confident as well because it's Fulham more than anything else, and I haven't seen them play well at Villa Park before. Again, we need to win the game, so we need to build momentum now. This is McGinn said to the players actually after in the dressing room, like, forget this, move on. Like, we've won the match. It wasn't pretty. Move on. Sunday is now really important. And again, I think the players will have an eye on the fixture list, knowing what's happened. So we've had a decent run of games. We've got 2 more at home now. And then we have what's in front of us after that. And by the way, maybe that is a chance, just quickly, for Rodgers to enjoy himself a bit more against a team like Liverpool, Arsenal, Liverpool, City and Tottenham, because there will be more space for him. But that's another kind of conversation. Just in terms of Rodgers, quickly, the question about him. What was the question? Sorry, Dan, about Rodgers. Makes him more nervous. Yeah. So higher expectations. I tend to agree, and this is why, again, I talk about other players need to step up, because if we're only concentrated on Rodgers, but we're still not playing well, we have another 10 players in the team or another 9 outfielders. Isn't Morgan Rodgers? So we set high standards for these players, and that's fine, and they need to improve. But so do the others. The others need to step up as well. This is a team game, and that's probably partially what Rodgers is probably thinking about a little bit right now as well. Like, I'm not playing well, but I'm not the only reason why we're only scoring 1 goal here and there. He's just such an important part of the team, and we haven't built a team around Rodgers, but I kind of think that in a way we have, whether we knew it or not. It's not like Jack Grealish, but if you take Rodgers out, something different needs to happen, and maybe that'll be okay. But for now, he's still a really important player for us.
Yeah, let's end with a very quick score prediction then. I got bang on for Sunderland. You don't need to write it down. I'm not that bothered anymore. I'll just pick something different if we pick the same. I went 1-1. So I got it bang on. I got 3 points. We've been terrible at predictions this season. You got 1 point on the first game of the week of the season. You predicted a draw against Newcastle, but we both got every other single result wrong. So that was the first time one of us got something bang on. I said 1-1. You said 2-1 to Villa. So what are you saying for Fulham? I also feel like we have to win, and I actually think we will. I do think we'll win.
Oh man, I'll say 2-1 Villa.
2-1. I'm going to say 2-0. I think we'll keep another clean sheet. I think we spoke a little bit about it, and not because we've defended brilliantly, but is the plan really just go back to basics, set up shop, be hard to beat? And again, I don't think we've played in a way that has been hard to beat and it's been ultra defensive or anything like that.
Yeah.
But along the way, we have picked up a couple of clean sheets, and that can be seen as a positive. So if that continues, and that's the first kind of principle, protect that clean sheet, I do think we'll score, and I'm going to go 2. I'm going to go 2-0 Villa. Why not?
Fulham have had a decent start to the season, really, just looking at their results. So they drew to Brighton on the opening weekend. That was a late equaliser, I think. So you can kind of factor that in. They drew to Man United, which isn't amazing, but, better than what we would do. They lost at Chelsea, didn't they? But they had that goal ruled out early on, and they were quite unlucky. And then they've beaten Leeds and Brentford at home. But we know what Fulham are like. They're quite... I don't know how to quite explain it, but you don't really know what to expect. But I think if we play well, we'll win. It's that sort of feeling.
Yeah.
Will we play well, though? That's the question. And we'll see.
Yeah, okay. We'll wrap up there then. Almost an hour. As I said, this won't be an hour every week, but I don't know, maybe it will be. The fact that we're bringing it forward earlier in the week means people have got time to listen anyway. Yeah. Have you enjoyed, John, the pilot episode of the Villa Fanzone?
Yeah. I think there's something like what we said before is we want to read every comment in the live chat. We want to read every comment in the mailbag. It's impossible. So, again, live chat, we are looking at it and we are seeing it. I'm taking it all in. But I think the mailbag, if you kind of want to get questions read out, I think that's probably the best way to...
Yeah, because we can compile them and kind of make it flow to an extent and kind of know what's coming.
Yeah, we'll improve as we go on, and I'll talk less in my answers. I think that's important as well.
Right. Enjoyed that. Thanks very much, everyone, for tuning in. Earlier on, we had a message from Global Pilot who said, nice hoodie. If you follow my Twitter, I'm going to give away 2 discount codes in the next couple of minutes. So go and have a look at that if you want. But I enjoyed that. I thought it was really good. We'll do the same again next week. There will not be another presser a proper presser because we play at Rotterdam on Thursday. So you'll be in Holland. So we'll do this show Friday evening next week. So same format, live. Get your comments in post Feyenoord, and we'll discuss whatever you want us to. This is the new format for the preview. But thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks everyone who tuned in live and contributed. Really appreciate it. John, thank you for your time as per. And we'll see you next for the post-match show on Sunday night. Bye, everyone.